You know, every time you walk into a supermarket, you're actually stepping into the final chapter of this incredible globe-spanning story. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that story, the journey of your food, and how the British plate has been completely transformed.
I mean, really think about it for a second. How on earth can you buy fresh strawberries in the dead of winter? It seems so normal now, doesn't it? But it's a modern marvel we totally take for granted, and it definitely wasn't always this way. So, how did we get here?
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the supermarket as we know it today. Then, we'll take a trip back to Britain's seasonal past. After that, we'll unpack our global shopping basket, uncover some of the hidden costs of all this convenience, and finally ask if we're seeing a shift back to local roots. All right, let's dive right in with the reality we all know, the supermarket. You know, that place where it feels like every single season is happening all at once. But here's the thing. This is a really, really recent phenomenon. And this, right here, just lays it all out, doesn't it? Just 50 years ago, which is not that long ago, really, the British diet was pretty much dictated by what could grow locally and when. But today? Oh, it's a completely global affair, available 365 days a year. That shift is the absolute core of our story. Okay, so what did that actually look like? You know, eating with the seasons. Let's take a quick trip back in time. For our parents, our grandparents' generation, this was just normal. The food on your plate was totally connected to the land and the time of year. Strawberries were that special summer treat you waited all year for. And things like pineapples or mangoes, wow, they were basically unheard of, for the simple reason that you just couldn't grow them in the UK's climate. And that, of course, brings us to today. Because of these incredible leaps in transportation and global trade, the whole idea of seasonal has been completely turned on its head. We've built this truly international shopping list that would have been totally unimaginable just a few decades ago. And look at this. This just nails it. Those December strawberries you love? Yeah, they're probably from Spain. The pineapples? Costa Rica. And that lamb might have traveled all the way from New Zealand. It's wild. Our dinner plates have become this amazing mosaic of food from every corner of the globe. But, and this is a big but, this whole global system comes with a major trade-off. For us as consumers, the benefits are pretty obvious, right? We get incredible choice, year-round variety, and often lower prices. But the drawbacks are significant. We have these massive food miles, and get this, in some of these producer nations, huge areas of land are being used to grow our out-of-season produce, which can sometimes push out the crops that local people rely on to eat. It's a really complex balancing act. So this huge global demand hasn't just changed what's in our shops, it's completely transformed farming itself, both here in Britain and across the world. We're not just talking about quaint fields and farmers anymore. This is about massive industrial-scale operations. This has led to the rise of what's called agrobusiness. So what is that? Well, it's basically huge commercial farming businesses designed for maximum profit and efficiency. And what that often means is that smaller family farms just can't compete and end up disappearing. Even the landscape itself changes, with hedgerows being removed to create these enormous fields for giant machinery. And running alongside that, you see something called vertical integration. This is a farm-to-fork model where one giant company, and yep, it's often a supermarket, controls pretty much everything. The farm, the processing plant, the trucks, and the store's shelves. It gives them this immense control over cost and quality. The process is actually pretty simple when you look at it. A crop is grown, then it's processed and packaged by the very same company, transported in their own lorries, and sold in their own supermarket. It is an incredibly efficient, closed-loop system, and it pretty much defines modern food retail. To squeeze out even more efficiency, technology has taken farming to a whole new level. We're talking about techniques like hydroponics, where plants grow in nutrient-rich water instead of soil, and aeroponics, where the roots just hang in the air and get sprayed with nutrients. These allow for massive yields in controlled environments, with no soil required at all. And all of this, it leads back to one of the biggest hidden costs: food miles. The food we eat often travels thousands upon thousands of kilometers by ship, by lorry, and by plane. And every single one of those journeys burns fuel and produces carbon emissions, adding to the carbon footprint of our diet. But, you know, the story doesn't end there.
In response to all of this, there's a growing movement of people who are starting to think a lot more deeply about where their food is actually coming from.
A key part of this is the rise in organic farming. This system avoids synthetic chemicals, using natural methods for fertilizer and pest control instead. It's a direct response to consumer demand for less industrial food. And it's not just about buying organic either. People are actively changing their habits. They're buying local and seasonal produce, supporting farmers markets, and even growing their own food. They're also looking for assurance labels, like the Red Tractor, which guarantees certain standards of food safety and animal welfare. The conscious consumer is becoming a real force for change.
So, when you boil it all down, it comes to this. The incredible convenience, the amazing choice, and the low cost of our modern food system, well, it all has a price. And that price is measured in food miles, in carbon emissions, and in the transformation of agriculture all across the globe.
Understanding this story is the first step. It gives us the power to make more informed choices. Look, the global food system isn't going away, but our decisions, what we buy, when we buy it, and where it's from, all become a part of that ongoing narrative. The next chapter, well, that's up to us.